I submit numero uno. I will put her with an IQ test against any of our Republicans. Any of them. You find whomever you say is the dumbest Republican. No, smarter than Patty Murray. No, that is really embarrassing.
It's stunning, isn't it? Well, I mean, you know that I was telling you about a local dust-up that involved a city councilwoman getting on videotape, and like you, thank God for little phones that have big cameras in them. You know that, and I would encourage people, anytime you see anything interesting going on, shoot a picture of it. And but in this case, going back years, she happened to give a speech to a high school class in which she lauded Osama bin Laden for building the daycare centers. In a country where if your heels click too loudly, they beat you to death.
Daycare centers. It was just, oh, he's an enemy of America. He must be with NARAL and the whole program, probably aromatherapy. And take your daughter to work day. That's Osama bin Laden. And you almost never get statements out of her, much to my dismay, because the Democrats, I must say, unlike the Republicans, keep their stupid ones under wraps. They lock the door to Patty Murray's office. We let John Boehner go on TV shows.
No, come on. I like Leader Boehner, but he does say some dumb things.
No, I don't know if you saw the New York Times. There were rumors that the New York Times was going to be running a story on an alleged affair by John Boehner, and I was just looking at it thinking, why would they help us that way? And if it's not true, I'm going to start the rumor again. Because we have a lot of smart Republicans. Darrell Issa is smart. Mitch McConnell's smart. Boy, that guy Joe Miller from Alaska, the next senator from Alaska.
Very smart.
Very smart. We have
well,
smart
not just
Republicans.
smart, but look at his background. Public service, West Point. You know, goes Yale Law, then becomes a lawyer in private practice, does some of that, acts as a judge. So he's got a breadth of experience that goes from commanding men in the military to making making decisions as an impartial third party, the perfect way to be a judge. Look at the law, look at the Constitution, make an impartial decision. All that. That's the kind of guy or gal you'd like to see in leadership positions.
Oh, yes, and I don't think he'll go bad on us either.
No, I mean, after that long, and those kind of values that you'd build up with those experiences, it'd be hard to imagine him going south.
Anyone who got through Yale Law School as a Republican is not going to get to Washington and suddenly decide he wants to be liked.
Now, how do you explain, this is where I get back to the Republican Party's problems, though. Why in the world are they helping Murkowski?
Are they?
They are, well, at least by leaving her in her committee position. By not taking her out like Palladino would. Let's send Palladino up to Alaska and take her out. And speaking of ridiculous, okay, Patty Murray is stupider than Murkowski. Yes. But on our side, she's getting pretty near the bottom. She only had that seat because for, I believe, the first time in American history, her father, the governor of Alaska, appointed his own daughter to the position. It was the most appalling act of nepotism. A lot of people thought that even though Alaska is very Republican, come on, they're not going to go for this. Okay, so she gets her job through pure nepotism, appointment by your father, and now she thinks she's entitled to it. It's just shocking. That level of entitlement should make her a good Democrat. Exactly. Exactly. And that's the thing I worry about is whether Republicans are willing. You know, usually we're pretty good. Foley knew to beat feet out of town because he knew he was toast, had to go. Craig didn't get the message, even though a lot of us shouted long.
Run again.
I know, but you know what? He said, I'll get out, and then by the middle of September, he's like, well, maybe I won't get out. And that bothered me. I wish Republicans
had said... I'm glad I missed that.
Well, you know, he did say it, and I said, look, if he's pleaded guilty to the charge, then he should get out. I wish we could hold the whole party to those kind of standards.
Republicans are pretty good because Republicans won't vote for people with moral problems. By contrast... Barney Frank. Let's just dwell on Barney Frank for a minute. Can you imagine if a Republican did that? Can you imagine? I mean, poor little Mark Foley, all he did was send some creepy emails to interns. If they had been a little gayer, it probably would have been okay. If it had been like RuPaul. But they were so dorky. You look hot in those soccer shorts. They were just, oh, come on.
But he knew to get out of town.
And then he went and hid in a hole for the next year.
So who would you like to see run for president?
Chris Christie.
Okay.
He cannot let his country down because I don't see anybody else. I mean, without Chris Christie, this is not a statement of preference, but I think it will be Romney. And now the Tea Party movement has taken over the Republican Party. Romney, we've moved on from big government Republicans. And also, he did not come out and attack the Obamacare, you know, after having done it himself in his own state.
We couldn't, could he?
Well, they all say that
Massachusetts was Obamacare light.
Well, they all say that after he left, Deval Patrick, the next governor, put in all these things that made it worse. Whatever the excuse was, if he was going to come to run for president, he had to be there attacking Obamacare, and he wasn't there. And he is big government Republican. But it's got to be Romney because, sadly, Republican primary voters refuse to do 5 seconds of research before going in and pulling a lever. And they think to themselves, oh, I've heard the name Bob Dole before. Let's all pull that lever. And I've heard of John McCain. So anybody who's run before, anybody whose name they've heard of, we always end up with these loser candidates whose turn it is. And it is Romney's turn. And unless there is some magnificent candidate like Chris Christie, who is, I haven't felt this way about a Republican since Ronald Reagan. Every other Republican, even the smart ones, Darrell, I say, is very smart. I will admit, my stomach doesn't get in a knot when he's talking. But most Republicans, you see them on TV, and you're just sinking farther. What's he going to say? What's he going to say? Oh, why did he say that? Chris Christie, you just break out the popcorn. He's so good, and to his credit, he's doing something no politician has been willing to do before. Okay, Reagan took on the Soviet Union. Chris Christie is taking on the public sector unions.
Video coming up, a new YouTube of him standing up and dressing down a teacher and doing it. See, I get bad. I know what it's like. You get people who bash you and say, you're a teacher basher. No, I'm not. But I see him do this and think, why couldn't I be that smart? Because he really knows how to say, if you're not happy making $83,000 a year as a teacher with all these bennies and retirement at 52, then go do something else. And God bless him for having the guts to do it and not sit there and try and, you know, pull it back or the next day kind of apologize.
Right.
Well, I know I went over. No, have you heard him?
Oh
ever
yeah, and
back up?
No, never. No, and another great one was when they were. I think they have 0 copay when they go to a doctor, which is such a bad. I mean, even if you were talking about desperately poor people, they've got to have a $5 copay, otherwise they'll just keep going to the doctor. But in any event, I believe the teachers' unions have 0, maybe it's $5. And they're all up in arms complaining to him about it, and oh, the children, we're here for the children, which is when most politicians back down. And he said, I've never heard of a child say, I just can't learn because my teacher has a $5 copay. I can't learn this class. And I mean, him going after the teachers is like seeing Ronald Reagan going after the Soviet Union. It's what you always knew in your heart, but you never had a front man to go take the fight to the Soviet Union until Reagan, or take the fight to the teachers' unions, and they are bad. It's not just teachers' unions, but they're a big part of the problem because they can say, what about the children, what about the children? The prison guards, who do have very difficult jobs in California, they're retiring at age 50 with $500,000 pensions. Okay, it's a tough job, but you're bankrupting the states. The middle-class voters of California are now living in Arizona.
Ann Coulter is with me. This is the Bung Lounge. It's a live broadcast. It's the Lars Larson Show on First Amendment Friday. We'll be back in just a moment.